it's unlikely that you haven't heard about Bitcoin, whether as a money-making tool or as a fraud scheme. Bitcoin has been around for more than a decade, and this week, Bitcoin's prices reached a new record high of $69,200. They surpassed the previous record of $69,000, which was set in November 2021. At its core, Bitcoin is a currency, just like the dollar or euro or rupee. However, it is not a tangible asset. Bitcoin does not exist in physical form. It is only available online. Another major difference is Bitcoin is decentralized, which means it is not controlled by any regulatory authority. No government or central bank controls its price movements. Bitcoin operates on a technology called blockchain. A blockchain system is a digital record of transactions. It can be replicated and distributed across a large network of computer systems. Let's try understanding blockchain using a simple example. Imagine you have a notebook. You and your friends keep a record of transactions in this notebook. Every time someone buys or sells something, it gets written down. Now, instead of one person keeping this notebook, imagine everyone in your group has a copy. The shared notebook is like a blockchain, a large transaction record, kept in a network of computers around the world. When someone sends or receives a Bitcoin, the transaction gets added to a group of records, or what is called a block. Every successive transaction creates a new block, and each new block is linked to the previous one, creating a blockchain. In the last 15 years, the value of one Bitcoin has gone from being less than $1 in 2010 to the latest record of $69,200. The value of a Bitcoin solely depends on the people that use it, making it a highly volatile asset. In 2022, a well-known cryptocurrency exchange, FTX, went bankrupt. During that fiasco, Bitcoin lost more than 60% of its value. It declined from over $65,000 to around $16,000. However, since the start of 2024, it is as if Bitcoin has been on steroids. In February this year, Bitcoin's value surged by over 40%. An order by the US markets regulator is driving this surge. On January 10th, the US Securities and Exchange Commission approved exchange-traded funds for Bitcoin. What are Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, or ETFs? An ETF is much like a mutual fund, but unlike a mutual fund, it is traded in an exchange. It allows a person to invest in a basket of assets. Imagine a basket filled with various assets like company stocks, bonds, and gold. An ETF allows you to invest in this basket by buying a part of it. Now replace those assets with Bitcoin. This basket is known as a spot Bitcoin ETF. The US SEC has approved 11 such Bitcoin ETFs. This has led to the large-scale purchase of Bitcoins by large financial firms. As per reports, by February 29th, over 900,000 coins had been purchased by these firms. The biggest holder is a digital currency investor called Grayscale. It holds around 450,000 Bitcoins. Investment firm BlackRock has bought 150,000 coins. Meanwhile, financial services firm Fidelity has 102,000 Bitcoins.
I think this is classic supply and demand. Demand is booming. We have the spot Bitcoin ETF approved in the US just over 6 weeks ago. And since then, those ETFs have accumulated 4% of all the Bitcoin there is in the world just in 6 weeks.
While the ETFs have given a new life to Bitcoin, critics continue to denounce cryptocurrencies. They have called on governments and international organizations to regulate the use of Bitcoin.
Our regulatory frameworks should be designed to support responsible innovation while managing risks, and especially those that could disrupt the financial system and the economy. As banks and other traditional financial firms become more involved in digital asset markets, regulatory frameworks will need to appropriately reflect the risks of these new activities. And new types of intermediaries, such as digital asset exchanges and other digital native intermediaries, these should be subject to appropriate forms of oversight.
Last year, the International Monetary Fund said that the widespread adoption of crypto assets could threaten the effectiveness of a country's monetary policy. In 2021, El Salvador was the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal currency. Just a year later, the country reportedly lost around $60 million in Bitcoin. This was after the value of the cryptocurrency crashed in 2022. Reports showed that Salvadorians are still very hesitant about adopting the currency.
El futuro es un poco incierto.
The future is a little uncertain. We know the government is still in talks with the Bitcoin community at the international level, but so far there has been no other big announcements in terms of public policy to promote or give this initiative a second push.
The Bitcoin frenzy is far from over, but the risks associated with it continue to loom. Many argue that Bitcoin is the ultimate bubble, but only time will tell if the approval of these ETFs will propel Bitcoin's growth, or if the crypto bubble will finally burst.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.